guys, and welcome to another Minecraft video. Now, this video is being recorded right after, well, a little bit after, just a few minutes after the Champions Dominate #3 video. I recommend it, of course, because it's my own video, but you don't have to watch it. However, this is a completely different video. This video is about a contraption of mine, and it is a TNT cannon. Now, it is fully automatic, meaning once you flick this lever, it will fire until it runs out of ammo. But that's where this comes in. Now, this big contraption is about the automatic reloading, so it will literally never run out of ammo unless it blows itself up, which I hope will not happen because it was an absolute pain to set up. However, with this is just, it took me a long time to set up, and it was fun setting up, to be honest, because I was saying in the video that my knowledge of redstone is not exactly stellar. Oops, I did not mean for that. Well, darn it. I did not mean for that to happen. Let's let this die out. That's a bit of a blunder on my part, but it should only be one thing circling around. So, what's happening is reloading. Basically, these are copying. So these 7 are copying these here. And if it passes around, that thing should be full, but I'm testing because it may or may not be slightly different. I don't know. Actually, never mind. It is going to work. So basically what's happening is this is a single dispenser filled with TNT that's being cloned. And all these are being cloned from this and transported into all these separate different spots here. As you see, it is refilled automatically because it is cloning every bit of item data from that thing, including what's inside of it. These are different things. So at first I was just going to have them there, but then I realized a mistake. It copies everything down to the direction that it is facing. So to have these automatically reloading, I have to do it so that these are different than these, which is kind of different, which is kind of a weird way to put it, but they have to be facing towards each other. So that's why I have to have 2 separate things here. It's not too much of a difference, I just have to clone different parts of it. So this is using the clone command, and it's cloning that. This is the first bit, so it clones this coordinate to this coordinate. So this is the range, like this is the how to put it, the area that it clones. And then this, I believe, is the bottom left-hand corner of that area. So this is from this corner to this corner. So you know how when you use MCEdit, or for those of you that don't, imagine that you want to make a cube. So you do opposite diagonal corners. So it's kind of hard to do it without a visual, so I'm going to exit out of this. So say you want to make a cube. So you do you do 2 different corners. So if I want a 3x3 cube, I would select this corner and this corner, and I would fill it with stone if I was using MCEdit. Well, this uses the same principle. It copies this corner to this corner, so you select this whole area, and then it copies it from this point here. That is where it copies. So if I were to try to copy it over here, I would select this point as the point to copy it to, and then it would automatically copy the rest to the corresponding points, preventing you from having to do a whole second area command, which would get even more confusing than it already is. So those are just doing those 2, and then these 7, you can't do it. You can't copy different things with the same command block, so you have to have different command blocks. Now, this is the part that actually does stuff, all this. This is just one gigantic long timer, which is needlessly complicated, and I could make it a lot more simple and other stuff using different physics and things. But this is just making it so that it's a long time between when it copies, so there's less of a chance for copying in the middle of a fire, which may or may not be a bad thing. However, that is why, if these don't fire, it's not a big problem. The cannon won't blow up. It's not going to fire late, fire. The only thing that's bad is if these fire too early or fire too late, because then that might blow up the cannon. But as of yet, that has not happened, but we have had a close call. However, if these were to clone, now I'm not sure if this would actually do something, but it might glitch if you clone and try to trigger a block at the same time, and might not trigger to fire. I just don't want to take that chance, so I'm only cloning these blocks up here and just having simple hopper mechanics carry the TNT down to the next levels. And, you know, that's all that's happening. So that is just what's happening in this crazy contraption that I've made. I had to look up the commands, but all the commands that I've done have been completely written by my own fingers and not copy pasted from anywhere else. All I did was look up how to use the commands, which I'm kind of proud of. So then that's all the command block technical stuff. So what's happening over here is this is kind of a circuit to make it so that I have an always running clock that is not that I don't turn off and turn on, and it's because then you have to like flick it really fast, and then if you leave it on or leave it off, there might be problems. So now I did come up with this system myself, but I'm not the first to come up with it. I just made it before I saw it, so yeah. Basically what's happening is this is just a clock. I forget how many ticks it is, but I actually made it longer, so it was only a 4x4 or 5x5, so it only had 12 repeaters or 48 ticks in it before it went over here and did this, but we had that close call, so I wanted to make it a little longer. So basically this clock is just running around. This is stopping the flow from continuing from this to this. But as soon as I release this piston by flicking the lever, it activates the cannon. So this pulse now goes all the way and it continues. It can't go through this block. It blocks the redstone signal. But then that block is no longer there blocking the redstone signal. So it continues on its way, goes through this block, through this repeater. And then the system on that side is exactly the same, though it just a bit visually different here. All that is the same, and this is pretty similar, but it's just a tiny bit different to fit it into a smaller space. So basically all this is doing is activating these. Now, you cannot have it without the repeaters, because then you wouldn't be able to trigger the dispensers, because I'll just give you an example because it's a lot easier than explaining. So say I want to trigger these two pistons. So there are two ways to trigger a piston. There is this way, having the current feed into the block directly, or this way, having a current run over the top of a block beside it. That also activates it. But you cannot have it running beside it and not going towards it. So if I were to place something there, the current no longer plugs into it. But if I take that away, then that. So if I have this, it doesn't work unless they were on a higher level, but that doesn't work because then they might trigger the repeaters, trigger the hoppers, and in other designs where you need a lot more compactness, it also doesn't work because you can't, it would trigger different things at different rates and such. So the solution is the repeater. It always points there, even if you have two next to each other. So I can have the redstone going like that and like that, because they plug into there. And then it works. So it's the same exact principle over here. Now, you might be wondering what this is, and I'm getting to that. This is the delay for the TNT, because if they all triggered at the same time, the propulsion and the ammo going off at the same time is not good, because it would blow up the cannon, because this TNT is not far enough away. And that would be a very sad day indeed for me, because the cannon itself didn't take too long to build, but it would be a bit of a pain just to rebuild it in the exact same way, because if I rebuild it even one block different, the cloning in the command blocks might trigger something and put something in the wrong place, making it bad, very bad. Not to mention the delays being different, and I would have to mess with delays to make them different, and long story short, it would be a bad thing. Now, to what I'm sure you've all been waiting for. This. I flick that off, this goes, it triggers, that's the MOTNT, or sorry, that's the propulsion TNT, that's the MOTNT, and it literally goes so far away that it just, yeah. Yeah. So a lot of times it explodes in the air. I used to have a very powerful cannon. Yeah. So right now it's landing in the river, so if the river wasn't here, you do see that it does explode though. I used to have a very, very powerful cannon. It was not automatically reloading, but it had, I believe, something like 100 dispensers powering it, but due to conflictions and that expansion that triggered an explosion, it stopped working, and then I built another one, and it was powered by a lot of dispensers. It was 4 rows on each side of 7, so yeah, for 8 times 7, 56 dispensers, a lot. But then I flew around the world and I got lost, ironically enough. It's been so long, well, not ironically, but sadly enough, I get lost of all things. What happened here? So that can come very close to not being good, as we see here. I don't even know how this happened. That is actually kind of disturbing. Something like that did happen. I might honestly just replace this with a different block. But, that's enough the mechanic work. I can do that off camera, but it'll be very similar, basically. Yeah, this is my automatically reloading cannon in all its glory, hopefully. Yeah. Yeah. Basically, if you, and that was another thing, I think I've explained this before, but in case I haven't, if you middle click, it brings it inventory. So I can middle click the grass, get grass. I can middle click piston, get piston. Repeater, redstone, redstone torch, grass block, so on, so forth, whenever. Yeah. But this is my automatically reloading TNT cannon. There's nothing special in the way of TNT cannon goes, other than the fact that it is automatically reloading and automatically firing. So, I have seen in factions some absolutely mind-boggling cannons that I could never hope to work out. But this is, I mean, it's not bad. Yeah, so with that, I mean, this is also just a general testing world for me. But without further ado, this has been another episode brought to you by AJ Cannon, and I hope you have a good day, and I hope you enjoyed the episode. Bye.